Welcome back to another monthly review. I feel like these have just... I mean, of course they have come in great succession. I just finished editing April just like a couple days ago. But it shall not happen again. I promise all of you I will have this up soon. That's as best as I could do. Hello, my name is Montero, and thank you for joining me in my journey to watch everything. It's unfathomable how fast May has gone by in a blink of an eye. Honestly, I feel like I haven't really watched that much, but I mean, I guess I have. But the month of May was not what I was wanting it to be, but it was still pretty good. Just in terms of life, just in general. Let's go ahead and jump right in. We're gonna start with the caught up, kept up with, and finished tab because there was a lot of shows that we actually finished this month, starting with The Rookie Feds, Season 1, Episodes 10 through 22. This was one that I started last year, so of course it carried over. This is what I'm talking about with the whole caught up, kept up with, and finished tab, where it's going to be a little weird, so we're just going to tabulate just the episodes that we saw. But I'm going to review the whole season as a whole. Okay, so I did a little bit of research on this show, and honestly, so many people be hating on this show. I mean, listen, I haven't seen The Rookie yet. I really want to. But if The Rookie is anything like this show, then I mean, I am just gonna love it. This show is colorful in a dark kind of way, both in the visual and in the story sense. And you don't really see this for a cop show, honestly. They go hard and serious when they need to, but they often remind you that this show can also be fun and positive. Niecy Nash as Simone Clark is a combination that is on fire for me. Some people will hate on her just because of her confidence and her ability to be human. I love her. Her positive outlook on life and just the amount that she takes in on a daily, but doesn't let it affect her or her work. Mostly. I mean, you'll just have to watch the show. I chose to look at the show with positive eyes and with ones that see the show as more than just blind entertainment. Niecy Nash's Simone Clark as a character grows and learns throughout the first season a lot, and she starts out very headstrong and forceful, but then she turns into a very balanced and manageable character. The supporting cast is astounding as well. The cop aspect is also really nicely handled. The missions themselves can also be pretty dark, but hey, they gotta keep us engaged somehow, right? In the end, I love this show. I have no frame of reference for its predecessor, The Rookie, and as a blind viewer who just likes psychology and characters, in general, I give this a 9 out of 10. It may not be your type cop show, you may be annoyed with Niecy Nash's voice, but don't look for things to pick at, and you'll have a great time. Otherwise, you'll just be as bad as those who just claim the show to be bad, just because they want to hate on it. Just love it. Just enjoy it. Don't look at it for just blind entertainment, but look at it to just learn about character. It's a good time. I like it. I like it a lot. I picked up The Rookie Feds on January 5th, 2023, and I finished it finally on May 7th, 2023. Next, we have Will Trent. I also picked that one up on January 5th, and I finished that one actually on May 14th. There were so many shows to watch and to finish, and just Will Trent was one that I didn't get to for a while until I actually got home and was able, home as in visiting my family back home for Mother's Day, where I was able to watch it at night after a whole day of having a great Mother's Day for my mother, and I was able to just watch it at home and just enjoy and write this quick review. I would call Will Trent an agent with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the GBI, who is legally illiterate due to his severe dyslexia. I would say that he is the modern day darkest timeline version of Adrian Monk from Monk. For those of you who have seen Monk and love Monk, you're probably either like, aw, heck yeah, or are preparing to your pitchfork and your torches. Both have a disability of some kind that only makes them stronger in other areas. They both annoy the crap out of everyone with whom they work because of how smart they are. They both have a personal familial mystery to solve. Note though, I said the darkest timeline version of Adrian Monk, meaning this show can get pretty dark pretty fast. Like I said in my initial first thoughts in January, this show is very good. This and The Rookie Feds have modern day crimes that happen that are pretty good for their storylines, but sometimes I'm like, hold on a second. But why are we giving these guys ideas? But honestly, it's ridiculous to assume that cop shows and crime shows lead to crime. It's almost like saying video games influence violence and crime, which neither do. But in any case, this first season was a roller coaster of a first season, as we dove deeper into each character's lives throughout the span of only 13 episodes. This show is not for the faint of heart, I must warn you. Some of these murders and crimes are pretty intense, especially the finale episode. But the finale episodes, man, wow, what a series! What a series finale! Oh, it was so good. I was on the edge of my seat, and they extended it for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm like, no, just tell me the end. But that is honestly why I only give this an 8.7 out of 10, because it isn't really versatile for the general public, but I would imagine the intended target audience was for adults mostly. Will Trent was renewed for a second season, so I am very excited, but I guess we'll see how it goes because the writer's strike is still currently going, so support our writers. Go learn about the writer's strike. But then we have the Goldbergs season 10, episodes 11 through 22. This season was a 7.5 out of 10. I made a reaction to this finale, which is already uploaded, that you can go see. I have my thoughts about that in there. But some of my key points are that I love the middle seasons most of this show. I totally missed Murray. I totally missed the high school setting. And season 7 was intended to be the final season, but unfortunately, the Goldbergs got canceled. And honestly, I feel like it was nearing the end. I think it was wiser to end on a high enough point so that not enough damage was done, so that it's still good in everyone's minds. But anyway, go on, watch that reaction. Let me know how I did. Let's watch that reaction. You can watch the full-length reaction on Patreon. Shameless plug. Then we have Not Dead Yet, started on February 10th and finished on May 7th. Not Dead Yet, starring Gina Rodriguez from Jane the Virgin, gives a more mild performance but still gives it her Gina Rodriguez charm. This show does have a very slow start, but it quickly picks up some momentum. The premise of this show is Nell, played by Gina Rodriguez, begins to see and talk to the deceased for whom she is writing obituaries at her work. It is through these ghosts of recently deceased people that she learns life lessons from the dead. Great thesis right there. And she applies them to her own personal growth. It is an interesting premise indeed, and I can see why some people would either somehow be offended by this, the overly extreme, sensitive ones without that much sense of humor, and how some people would absolutely love it, mostly the heartthrobs. This show doesn't try to be a traditional sitcom first type of show, so when people see the word sitcom, I think people are misconstruing the point of this show. It's not meant to be flat out funny. It's a mesh of soap opera, daytime drama, and sitcom, or at the very least, a somewhat sitcom format. It is wildly interesting for me as a writer to recognize the intention, but seeing the results with the audience versus the critics. I mean, critics unfairly gave this a 47%, but audiences gave this an 87%, which is honestly kind of exactly where I thought it would be. Listen, I am not the intended target audience for this show, but I was still captivated. But if you're like me and you like interesting twists and takes on life, a bit of psychology, shows that are calmer and are just about characters themselves and the crazy antics that revolve around them as they learn to navigate life, then this is the show for you. It's no New Girl or Jane the Virgin. It's not even Superstore, but it is definitely one that I would like to see stick around moving forward. But I'm not disappointed if nothing does happen. However, it was renewed for a second season is what I've heard. In any case, this show gets 8 out of 10 and 84%. The best way to describe this show is that it's a very cute streaming show for sure. Then we have The Company You Keep. I started this one on March 6th and ended it on May 15th. Man, I had more hope for this one, honestly. I will start out saying that ABC did not choose to renew this one, even though the show did show a lot of potential. It didn't quite have it, but it showed it. This show started out pretty strong in my opinion. Strong, but mild, if that makes my words any clearer. I enjoyed the first half of the season a lot, but as the story went on, it felt like the writers and producers had no real idea if they were making a show or a movie. And you really do feel it. It's a really weird thing to say, but you kind of have to experience it to understand it, I think. Things suddenly move very quickly, and certain characters do things that make you respond, well, you really didn't have to do that. There's a bit of these moments in the middle of the season. I am disappointed because the show ended with a really good premise for way more, and I subscribed. I said, please ABC, do not cancel this show. But they did, which I can see why. However, I really hate when networks do this, because if they were to give this show just a little TLC and a second season. Then bada bing, bada boom, that's it. We got a real Now You See Me type of show with family drama and a tiddly bit of electric will they won't they, a bit of romance. I am sad that it is over, but I would say that if you like thief shows and just want something quick to binge that isn't the cookie cutter agent taking down the big bad wolf that is some type of government, and you just want to see thieves being thieves, doing thieving things, taking down mafia cartels, then here you go. I give you The Company You Keep to watch and to enjoy. And with The Company You Keep comes the rating at an 8 out of 10. An 80%. It deserves a good solid B grade. Yeah. Next, we have Animal Control. I had to introduce this one last month because I forgot to introduce it in March. I don't know, I guess I just forgot to write it down. But I started it on March 9th and ended it on May 7th. A lot of things ending on May 7th, as you can see. First and foremost, I love the theme song. It's cute and it's fun. It's nostalgic. It makes me feel so many good things. And the show is really truly defined by their theme song and their opening. This sitcom follows the classic sitcom format, but in a safe way. This show plays almost every card safely, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing. Starring Joel McHale from Community, Animal Control sometimes feels like a follow-up to our favorite stubborn womanizer lawyer wannabe, Jeff Winger, who is now older and way more docile in his olden days. This show also makes a couple references to other sitcoms like Community and Mr. Mayor, of which Vella Lavelle, who plays Emily Price in Animal Control, was a part of the main cast in the show Mr. Mayor. This show has its funny moments, sure, but even the humor feels safe, which is on par for a first season sitcom, quite honestly. I did love the show, however, and I looked forward to it every single week, but I expected a little bit more as time went on. Now, this isn't a dig on Fox shows, but this very much feels like a Fox show, and I don't suspect it surviving past 2, maybe 3 seasons if they don't do something daring to make this show a little bit more unique and stand out for the normal crowd viewing or sitcom viewing crowd. I do love this show. Do not get me wrong. I do love this show, but they are asking too much from an audience who are expecting crazy, non-realistic Community-like antics from Joel McHale because they are used to that. If this show is to survive, and I really want it to, this show needs to step it up. I still vouch for it, and I want everyone to go watch it, but I want you to have very realistic expectations. I'm hard on it because I love it and I want it to succeed. I really do. But this is a binging show for sure, which turns out is perfect for today's day and age. Not sure if people would dedicate themselves weekly like I did. I think having shows weekly is perfect because, you know, you get to bite-size shows. You get to enjoy and digest. Move on with life and come back. Either way, I give Animal Control a generous 8 out of 10. Try it out, give it a chance, and let's hope for a stronger season 2 because I believe it can get there if given another chance. Then we have Love and Death. This is interesting. I didn't really know what to write here. I thought about making a review on Love and Death or a comparison video with Love and Death and Candy, the Hulu show, based on the same story, the same articles, the same everything. And I'm going to talk about Candy in a little bit because I did watch that show in conjunction to this one. But it was funny because I finished episode 6 of Love and Death and I said to myself, Ivan, just one more day and you get the finale. And one more day came and the finale never did. I had to wait 1 more week. They made me wait 1 more week. Why? I don't know. But they did, but it's okay, because I saw it and I loved it. I started watching Candy and I couldn't watch the final episode of Candy either until I watched the final episode of Love and Death because I don't know what happened in these shows. I didn't know the story about, I just heard Candy Montgomery's name and the Betty Gore murder a couple times thrown around in my lifetime, but I didn't really know what happened. And I liked watching these two shows because the difference between these two shows is that Love and Death shows you the why it happened, but Candy shows you how it went down. One is about the characters, and the other one is about the actual situation, the actual murder, the whole thing. And the whole story of Candy Montgomery is one that you're just gonna have to watch and take for yourself and see your interpretation, because both women, Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Olsen, did phenomenally in their roles in their own right. And I I'm not going to say that I liked one performance more than the other because I really liked both their performances. However, I will say that I liked Love and Death a little bit more because I am a character guy. But on the flip side, Candy, I liked how they showed some of the things, the how, because they do gloss over a lot of those things in Love and Death to get the story going for these characters. It's what HBO is best known for, right? It's an HBO show for sure, but the script really does gloss over some details that I only remembered because Candy spent some time on those details and I was like, oh. They are almost the same show, but I would say that they're not. I mean, Candy's only 5, so they fly through the whole thing, man. You really do feel it. But when you watch Love and Death, 7 episodes, again, you are spending time with these characters, and I think that's why I like Love and Death just a little bit more. I also like the supporting cast in Love and Death more than I did in Candy. I think Jessica Biel deserved a little bit of a better supporting cast. But both supporting casts did great. But Love and Death, very good. I really enjoyed it. I love period piece crime shows. Welcome to Chippendales, Love and Death. I liked Candy, even though it was almost the same show. If you want to watch both shows, and I really do encourage you to watch both shows, watch Love and Death with the why aspect. We're going to find out why they did it, not really much how or anything else. Details glossed over, and then watch Candy to see how it all went down. But it was so good. Anyway, watch Love and Death, and there you go, a little bit on Candy as well, so we may not even talk about Candy. And then we started the other two, season 3. I love the other two. The other two, season 1 and 2, they're great. And season 3 started out really, really well. I don't know if they're going to keep on going with the other two. I think they can pull out one more, maybe even 2 more seasons if they're clever with it. But I really do like the take on being an adult in today's age and then trying your hardest to make it in the art world or just in the world at all, and then comes your pretty younger sibling who makes one viral video and then just blows up. That's the whole premise of the show, and the journeys that they go on are rather nice. Season 3 is still ongoing, so we're gonna have to wait to talk more about it. So now we are in the second era of this year. Just to recap what eras are moments. They're more than just chapters in my life. Chapters are not necessarily monthly, although this year has been mostly monthly. Eras are mostly, just think of them like the books. The books, the graphic novels, the volumes, and then chapters, the monthly chapters are, chapters. But this era's name is still in the works. I mean, again, these names will always change. So for now, it's the teenage drom-com era. Dramedy, romance, comedy era. But man, oh man, we're gonna have to power through these because wait till we get to the movie section, man. Wait till we get to the movie section. So for the month of May, I have 2 names. I have a main name and a sub name. It's the Drama Mama May Movie Month chapter. So that's a mouthful. So on May 1st, concluding on May 17th, we watched all of Broad City. And oh my goodness, I love this show. I am pretty down for any show that plays on the drug/weed humor. This show is basically about these 2 city girls constantly getting high and getting into shenanigans. I feel like this show was my friend, honestly, my personal friend. I would hands down be friends with both Alana and Abby, which is rare because I typically end up hating at least one main character of a show, or at the very least like the character in the show, but wouldn't really be friends with them in real life. Like, almost all of the main cast of Friends, barring Phoebe, I guess, I would not be friends with. Funny show, terrible actual friends. That's not the case in this show for me. Both Abby and Alana are people with whom I would be friends. What attracts me to the show is Alana. Alana is an individual who is so free and so liberated by any and all opinions and is so full of acceptable positivity. She rarely gets angry or annoyed at her situations or at others. In fact, she is almost always happy for others in her life or strangers just because it's the right things to do because the right thing is happening happening for the other person. Rarely ever does Alana get jealous, but she does, so she has some flaws to her, but that only makes her human and more relatable, because like everyone else, she has her moments and she has her faults, but it's done so well. And I looked at my own life introspectively because of Alana, and I said to myself, oh man, I want to be more like Alana. I say this is the realest show I have ever seen, and I love it. The finale was very sweet and very satisfying, honestly, and it really shows the realness of friendship and life and reality. Change, should you adapt to it, can be the best thing for your relationship sometimes. I will say there are a few episodes or jokes where I was like, okay, that wasn't a very good episode, and I can recognize that. So because of that, I give this show a 9.5 out of 10. Small ding, didn't do too much damage to the show at all. And then we have Star Wars Visions Volume 2. I watched this all on May 7th. I sat down on my bed, I said, all right, let's go, let's watch these, take notes and rank them. And I made my ranking video, which you can go watch right now. I made many reviews in that ranking video, and I'm actually really proud of it. So go ahead, go watch it. It would make me happy. And then on May 9th, I started Good Girls. I'm not done with Good Girls yet. Currently, at the time of this recording, I am in the beginning of season 3. So I have 2 more seasons to go, season 3 and season 4, and then we will talk about it. But really great show. It caught my attention with the very first episode, and it's funny. It's funny, and it's pretty good. I would say, go ahead, start watching it. Start watching it with me. We're not gonna react to it, but I'm gonna keep on going, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna finish it this month, hopefully. And then we have The Bastard Son and the Devil Himself. I started that on the 10th, and I finished that on the 11th. I'm not really sure where to begin with this one. I really enjoyed this one a lot, especially because it has to do with magic, and as we all know, I do love me some magic. I will say the rules are a little wonky, and they play fast and loose with them, but it's not bad, and it's not distracting at all. Everyone in the show gives it their all, and the main protagonist, Nathan, played by Jay, and I'm gonna get his name, I'm gonna butcher his name really quickly, Lycurgo? I don't know, but I'm sorry. Who, by the way, had a minor cameo in The Batman and later played Tim Drake in DC's Titans, so this was a very pleasant surprise to see him here in this show. The story is excellent. Believability to a degree is necessary in order for these stories to work, and his arc is very believable. However, I can see why the show was canceled. Everyone else also gives great performances. However, it seemed like they rushed a few storylines. That caused me a little confusion, but luckily, I know how stories work, so I was able to piece things together. Despite that, I still enjoyed myself, but this show is very ruthless, and I found myself even looking away at times because I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't look at it. Some scenes were a little gross to me, but others would honestly eat it up. Some of the ruthlessness can be a little bit much. There's elements of both, but not quite violent or gory, I would say. This definitely isn't for the casual viewer. If you like dark shows, then this is right up your alley and might even be a 9 out of 10 for you. But for the general audience, because of its overall writing and the, I would say, almost unnecessary ruthless violence at times, the pace and the pacing, this gets an 8.5 out of 10. Still check it out again if you like dark shows. I think you will have a really good time. And again, it has a magic. And then on the 10th, I started Black Clover. I'm not a full-on anime guy, but I'm trying to be. And I'm currently still watching Black Clover. I mean, there's 102 episodes, I believe. So it's gonna take me a hot minute to finish this one. And as soon as I finish this one, I swear I will finish My Hero Academia. Or I'll watch both of them simultaneously. Who knows, we'll see. But I am in season 3 of My Hero Academia. But I need to finish Black Clover. I need to finish Black Clover. It is a very good show so far. I'm enjoying it. I think it's super fun. And then on the 10th and finished on the 19th, we have Hilda. I honestly see zero wrong in this show. As I continue on my journey to watch every TV show ever created, not really, but we are gonna get close, it is nice to discover solid 10 out of 10s from time to time, like this one. A recurring theme for me is that most of my 10s end up being either British or cartoon. This happens to be both, so 20 out of 10. Hilda is massively adorable, but extremely clever. Starring Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones and The Last of Us, Hilda not only looks exactly like its its predecessor from the comics, but it also stays true to the graphic novels, so I've heard. I've not read them, but I kind of want to now. I've also heard it adds and explores storylines that the graphic novels never did or never got around to exploring, so there's that. Each episode is an adventure, and honestly, a lot happens in them. I honestly thought I was watching a movie with the first 2 episodes, then I realized this was a show and there's only 23 minutes in them. I was blown away, dude. Hilda is one of those hidden gem shows that you've seen around but never really dove into because it's Netflix and you no really longer trust Netflix. But Hilda is a smash hit. It has 2 seasons currently on Netflix and a follow-up movie, and then there is a season 3 coming later this year in 2023, so I'm pretty excited for that. For now, the first 2 seasons of Hilda get a solid 10 out of 10. 100%. Definitely check this show out if you like fantasy, adventure, and just classic cartoons. And it's just cute. It could be for adults, and it could be for children. It could be for everyone. It's just a really well-rounded show. And then we have Candy. It started on the 19th and ended on the 25th. I give Candy an 8 out of 10. Again, solely because I just feel like I like character stories a little bit more. And Candy focused, again, on the how. I think everybody did pretty well, but I already talked about Candy and Love and Death inadvertently, so we're just gonna move on from here. So Candy gets an 8 out of 10. I really did like it, but I would recommend Love and Death over Candy just because of the character. But again, if you like the how and you really wanted to see just every how, Love and Death doesn't really show you any how. Candy does. So 8 out of 10. Now we have another good attempts, no dice. I know this list is growing. Some of you are going to be like, what? Ivan, no. But yes. We have here Bodyguard. I tried to watch this on the 3rd. The first episode was so insanely slow, and I even watched half of the second episode and I just couldn't do it. I turned it off. I thought it was so boring to me. Richard Madden is captivating, yeah, but the story just progressed so insanely slow. And I know a lot of people say that they prefer Bodyguard over the Night Agent, but I prefer the Night Agent over Bodyguard. Maybe one day in the future I will give Bodyguard a second try, but I have to give Citadel a try because I forgot to keep up with that in the month of May. And that also stars Richard Madden. I'm just gonna pick and choose. So I don't think I can handle so much Richard Madden. So I think I'm just gonna go with Citadel and just leave Bodyguard in the past. For me, it gets a 6 out of 10 because I understand it's not for me, it's for others. And finally, our movies tab. I'm not really gonna give much review for these rather than just opinions, what I felt. Honestly, this month of May, I felt I was in a very movie mood. As you can see, we watched, I believe, 11 movies. That is a lot of movies in a very short amount of time. Here's the thing. I took a couple of trips. I went to see my best friend and we watched a few movies there. I went to see my parents back home for Mother's Day. We saw a couple movies with them. On my way back, stopped to see my best friend again, watched another movie, and then I watched a few movies on my own here. Just because I wanted to be an adult and overcome my fear of sitting down and watching a movie. And now I can totally do that. It's actually pretty nice. But anyway, let's go out, get on. On the first, I saw John Mulaney, Baby J, the stand-up comedy that released on Netflix. I saw that with a friend, actually. I love stand-up comedy, and I love John Mulaney. And this one, good for John Mulaney. I misspelled his last name. No wonder. I've been looking at that, being like, something looks wrong. My dyslexia betrayed me. But I love John Mulaney, and I'm so very proud of him for putting himself out there. And I think this is going to do really well. It's not really going to hit everyone, but I think it's going to do really well. Honestly, I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was really well produced. I thought it looked nice, and I liked his jokes quite a bit. And then on May 4th, and then again on May 14th, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I saw it with the early access screening on Wednesday night, and then I saw it again with my family on Mother's Day. I give this a 10 out of 10. Let's be real. This was the best trilogy of the MCU, hands down. The reason why I didn't make a review for this is because everybody else already got to it, and there's nothing I could say that isn't what everybody else has said about this movie. And I just love it. There's a lot to learn from this movie and a lot to learn from the Guardians of the Galaxy as a whole, especially when it comes to writing, to do storytelling, and how to do trilogies. I know some people didn't like it, but it's because they can't see it that way, and that's fine. It's okay. If it's not their thing, it's not their thing, so please don't hate on people if they say they didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, because it really is dark, and you know, some people don't like this movie, and that's perfectly fine. But I thought this was a perfect movie. So then I saw Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and let me say this, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was the movie that officially was the final straw to change my opinion on the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I haven't played the games growing up. He did, and he, as the movie went on, he was like, they do that! Oh, they do that! Oh, Sonic has to do that, and that happens, and that sound effect, and oh, that's the music from this level, and this is the exact level, and he was just geeking out, and I was having a great time because he was having a great time, and that's when I realized, oh, okay, so video game movies, it's not that they're supposed to not have a good story, is that that's not the very first thing. The very first thing is to make the video game people happy. How? By just showing them what they want. Most video games don't really have good stories anyway, so it doesn't fully matter, and I think I finally understand that. I enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and I cannot wait for the Knuckles series, although I don't know when I'll ever have Paramount Plus. I don't have time. And I'm very excited for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I don't want to spoil it, but it's gonna be good. We're gonna get someone at the end of Sonic 2 and it's gonna be good. So I give it an 8.5 out of 10 for sure. Because again, I mean, the story wasn't that great, but everything else was pretty good. So 8.5 out of 10. And then we also saw Megan. I heard Megan wasn't really that much of a super horror story, so I was like, okay, let's watch it, but it's still a horror movie, and I told my friend, I will watch one horror movie with you, let's do it. And we watched this one, and technically I would classify it as a thriller, as you can see, or maybe not see. I would classify this as a thriller, not a horror movie. It wasn't really horror at all. It kind of focused on the characters, which is fine, but it didn't really, I don't think that's a point of horror movies, to be honest. It's the point of them is to be scary, right? And like, of course, the good ones have good story, but like, also, it's supposed to be scary. And Megan was not scary whatsoever. So in my head, it was a thriller. It was a thriller, because I didn't get spooked. I got a little anxious, but I never got spooked. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. My friend did not like it at all, but I liked it. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. And then when I went back home to see my parents, my dad and I saw Uncharted. I tried playing the first game and I got through most of it, and I was just really bored with the game. Sorry, it just wasn't my type of game. Maybe now that I'm older, I can maybe play it, but I just didn't really care about it. I didn't. I'm sorry. I just didn't. But I understood enough to understand that there was quite a few changes made to this movie, and I didn't really like them. But when I separated myself from it, I thought to myself, this movie is pretty entertaining. It's no National Treasure, and it's no Indiana Jones for sure. I feel like it's their small cousin. Their small cousin who also got in the game and is just doing what other people are doing, because that's it. That's all that they know how to do. That's the best I can describe this movie, so I get to 7.5 out of 10. Not great, but not bad. It's a fun time for sure. And then there is Ugly Dolls. Ugly Dolls does get a 6 out of 10, mostly because the animation is wildly uninspiring. It seems like a very low budget movie, but I really do like the message. When I first saw the trailer to this movie way long ago, I thought to myself, wow, agenda forward much. So I didn't really care to watch this movie, but again, my friend and I sat down to watch this movie, and it is super cute. I was entertained, and I had to, give it, look at it with a grain of salt, and I do love animated movies, so, I give it a 6 out of 10 just because I think it did accomplish its goal of entertaining children and doing what it needed to do. And plus, Kelly Clarkson, my girl. And then on the 23rd, I saw Hilda and the Mountain King. It took me a couple of days to finally sit down and watch the follow-up movie to Hilda, but yes, Hilda the Mountain King. I give this a 9.5 out of 10 only because I feel like this dragged just a tiny little bit. I feel like it was just a tiddly bit too long. We got the point across, but I mean, I think I only wanted to get to the end because I understood what was going on. They were raising stakes is what's going on. But I give this a 9.5 out of 10. It is just another Hilda story. It is very cute, and it really does. It is vital. It is vital for the story moving forward. So if you're gonna dive into Hilda, you're gonna want to watch those first 2 seasons, about 12, 13 episodes each season, and then this movie. This movie, you cannot skip this movie. It is important for the story, and it has so much character growth. That's why it's so good. But then there's Fool's Paradise. I wrote a full-on review / video essay for this, so I'm not gonna dive into this. All I'm gonna say is that it gets an 8 out of 10 for me. Please go watch my review. It would mean the world to me. And then The Little Mermaid. I saw The Little Mermaid on the 24th, and I have not stopped thinking about it. I really want to go back and watch it, but June is a busy movie month and a busy month in general for me, so I don't think I will have the bandwidth to go see movies twice, but I'll definitely try. But I did make a review on it, but this movie gets a 10 out of 10. It is not perfect by any means, but I enjoyed it and I had a wonderful time, as did my theater. And it's all about the experience, so it gets a 10 out of 10. And then there's Superpets. I sat down I was in a movie mood, so I watched Superpets the very next day, and I've been wanting to watch this movie since since it came out in theaters. I kept getting the AMC tickets things and kept being busy and not being able to watch it. I kept wanting friends to come over to see it with me, and nobody's wanted to watch it with me, and that's probably a very good thing. I had a pretty good time with Superpets. It is not the most fantastic movie out there, but it is a kids animated movie. This is definitely aimed towards children for sure. So you really got to have that one in mind. There are some animated movies that everybody can enjoy, but honestly, I think if you're not just there to fully enjoy it and just take everything with a grain of salt and just watch this movie just to be entertained, what was I saying? Then you will enjoy it. But if you're expecting something more, something greater, you're not going to enjoy it. Don't be me with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Although I do think that the Terrence story is still pretty bad, but it's fine, whatever. But everything else was great. But I give Superpets a 7.5 out of 10. It's not inventive, and it's clearly not the greatest movie out there, but it has heart, and it has good voice acting. I thought I wasn't going to be able to pull out another movie, and I didn't want to pull out another movie, but then my roommate was like, do you want to go watch La La Land? Because I've only seen it like maybe kind of half once, and I didn't like it. And I said, well, heck yeah, let me change your mind. And changed his mind, I did. I'm going to work on a video essay about, or maybe just an article about La La Land, because this movie is my number one favorite movie. It is a masterpiece, and a lot of people are going to be like, ew, Ivan, La La Land, Hawaii, and I will tell you why, but I don't think I have the time to tell you why here. But basically, down from the music to the colors, that he tells a story with visual colors, to the framing, to the directing, just everything in this movie is inspiring to me. So, it gets a 10 out of 10. I will work on a video essay to try to convince you all that why this movie is the greatest movie to ever exist. And that's it. My filmer dudes. That is all the things that I watched in the month of May. What did you guys think? Hopefully that wasn't too long for me to edit. I'm gonna have a lot of fun in June, I hope. Let me know in the comments below. What did you think of those movies and those shows? If it's a spoiler, please mark spoiler before typing your comment. Otherwise, comment spoiler-free opinions all you want. Check out my sushi media links in the description below, including my Patreon and my website, and I will see you next time. You've just been Montified.